All right, let's dive into something really fascinating today, the Rosicrucian science of initiation. You know, when you hear words like alchemy or transmutation, your mind probably jumps straight to turning lead into gold, right? But what we're talking about here is something way more profound. It's a practical, step-by-step science for transforming yourself. And that right there, that's the whole key. This entire royal art, this whole science, it's not performed in a lab on some external metal. The laboratory is you. The subject is your own consciousness. It's a journey that goes completely inward.
So, what do they actually mean by transmutation? Well, at its heart, it's about applying natural laws to our own being. It's the art of consciously changing your inner frequency, your vibratory nature. So you can take challenges, negativity, all that stuff the alchemists called base elements, and literally transmute them into real strengths and constructive forces in your life.
Now, this epic journey of self-transformation isn't just some vague idea. It has a name, the magnum opus, or the great work. And it's not a mystery. It's a structured process, broken down into 3 very distinct, very symbolic stages. And here they are: Negredo, Albedo, and Rubedo. You can think of this as a kind of spiritual roadmap. First, there's a dissolution of the old self, which is represented by the crow. Then comes a purification, symbolized by the beautiful white swan. And finally, you get this coagulation into a new, higher state of being, the phoenix rising from the ashes.
So, let's start at the beginning. Stage 1, Negredo, or the blackening. This is the first absolutely necessary step. It's a descent into yourself to see what's really there before any true change can even happen. And honestly, it's often the hardest part, because it demands total, unflinching honesty with yourself.
The work begins by confronting what's called the prima materia, the raw material. And what's that? It's us. It's our unawakened consciousness, the part of us that's just running on autopilot. It's that deep-seated belief that the physical world is all there is, and all the unconscious habits and patterns that grow out of that feeling of being separate.
And this is where the magic really starts. You can't change something if you don't even know it's there, right? So the very first alchemical move is just to notice, to develop the awareness that, a lot of the time, we're basically asleep at the wheel, just being driven by our unconscious reactions. That simple act of honest observation, that's the spark that lights the whole fire. Okay, so once we've had the courage to confront our own raw material, we get to move into albedo, or the whitening. This is really the heart of the great work. It's the whole phase dedicated to systematically purifying and illuminating the soul. A great way to think about this stage is to picture yourself building a temple, but inside you. And just like any strong building, this inner temple is built on 3 fundamental pillars. Each one corresponds to a primary center of our being: our ability to think, our world of feeling, and our power to act.
And just look how clearly the path is laid out here. It's so practical. We have to consciously develop our thinking, our feeling, and our will. Each part has a specific goal: to build a new kind of mind, to gain a clear spiritual vision, and to forge a disciplined power to actually make a difference in the world.
For that first pillar, the head, the practices are all designed to basically rewire your brain. This isn't just about cramming facts. It's about learning to think in archetypes, in symbols, to see a word and feel the pure spiritual experience behind it. And there's even this practice they call mycelic yoga, where you might look at a flower, and as you breathe in its physical reality, you breathe out its spiritual concept. It's about uniting the seen with the unseen.
Then we have the pillar of the heart. This is all about transforming our emotional body. By cultivating a positive outlook and that deep inner calm they call equanimity, we literally change our personal frequency to resonate with higher realities. We train ourselves to see the invisible life forces all around us in nature, to perceive the spiritual blueprint that guides everything we see.
And for that third pillar, the will, the name of the game is discipline. This includes a really powerful practice called the backward review. At the end of each day, you mentally replay all the events, but in reverse. This isn't just a memory exercise. It's an incredibly powerful way to strengthen your will and detangle your true self from the chaos of the day. It helps you pull wisdom from your experiences instead of just being swept along by them. Now, holding all 3 of those pillars up is a foundation made of 6 core exercises. You can think of these as the daily non-negotiables, the training that makes all the bigger work possible. It's about controlling your thoughts, finding inner calm, staying positive, being open to new ideas, and then, the big one, harmonizing all of them together. Without this foundation, the inner temple just isn't stable enough for higher development.
And that brings us to the grand finale, stage 3, Rubedo, the reddening. This is the culmination of everything we've talked about, the integration of the purified self. It's often called the alchemical wedding.
And it's here, finally, that we arrive at alchemy's biggest, most famous secret, the Philosopher's Stone. So, after all this work, what on earth is it?
And here's the big reveal. The Philosopher's Stone, it isn't a rock. It's not some physical thing that turns lead into gold. The Philosopher's Stone is you. It is an achieved state of being, where your consciousness has been permanently illuminated, totally transformed by the awakening of what's called the I Am Presence, that divine spark that's inside every single one of us.
This final stage represents that sacred marriage. It's the union of your individual self, the microcosm, with the vast, universal consciousness, the macrocosm. It's where that feeling of separation just dissolves. This is the true reddening, when the soul is finally and fully infused with the fire of the Spirit.
But here's the thing, and this is so important. Becoming a living stone, reaching this incredible state of illumination, that's not the end of the journey. In fact, it's the beginning of a whole new kind of work.
The whole point of the great work isn't to reach some personal state of enlightenment and then just check out. No, the goal is to become a conscious co-creator with the universe, a skilled worker in the divine laboratory, able to use these universal laws for the good of everyone. This leads us to that famous alchemical motto, dissolve and coagulate. See, the illuminated person doesn't just stop. They consciously keep this eternal rhythm going, breaking down old destructive patterns and building up new constructive ones. But now, they're doing it for the world around them.
And that, right there, is the ultimate purpose of this whole science. The path is to become a living Philosopher's Stone. Your very presence, your energy, your vibration becomes a force for transmutation, helping to uplift and evolve all the life that you come into contact with.
So we've walked this entire alchemical map, all the way from the raw material of the self to the creation of a living stone. And this whole profound journey really leaves us with just one very practical question to ask ourselves. In your own world, right now, what lead is just waiting to be turned into gold?